What's up, guys? Clayton Lindley here, and me and you, we're about to have a talk about how to get sponsored. But first things first, I'm going to give you key things that you're going to need to get sponsored. You need your phone, a camera, and a scooter. I don't have the scooter. The reason why you need those things, if you don't know already, the main reason you need it is because for the phone, you need it for Instagram and Facebook and other social media needs, or to answer emails or anything like that. For the camera, if you're shocked about why you need a camera, then you don't need to be sponsored. Because the reason why you need a camera is so you can film edits. Not posting all your bangers on Instagram. I know that's what everyone is doing nowadays, but nowadays, in order to get sponsored in any way, you have to have a large following. But in order to have a large following, you have to be throwing bangers. But in reality, if you really want to go far, you don't need to become close with companies, you need to become close with riders. So let's say you're trying to get on Grit, and you live in the UK and you become good friends with Jamie Addison, or you become friends with Jordan Clark, or anyone on Grit, Devin Lowe, and you become friends with them, and you're like really killing it, you know, you're throwing like crazy tricks, doing all this stuff, and they are like, dude, like why aren't you sponsored? And you're like, well, I don't know, I've never really thought about it. That's how you're really gonna get sponsored. Not posting kicklisses to Instagram, not posting you doing double ups flat, or you posting, hey, I got a world's first, and putting it all caps with a bunch of red X's on the side. That's not gonna get you sponsored. The main way is to learn how to market yourself, run your Instagram well, which we made an entire video over that. We'll have the link at the end of this video and stuff that you can just click on.
Alright, what's up, guys? My name is Will, aka White Trash Willie. You probably have recognized me from other videos on this channel, or my Instagram, or I don't know, whatever. You gotta think about sponsorships as a two-way thing. And that's the biggest thing you have to think about. You have to think about a sponsorship as you making money for the company. And you're probably sitting there by yourself at your computer watching this, and you're like, well, the only way I'm gonna get sponsored is if I live in Australia, if I live in San Diego, or I live in the UK. That is very incorrect, and this is why. So, although you would probably think, oh, if I'm at somewhere where there's a lot of sponsored riders, there's a better chance of me getting sponsored. But if you live in a place where there's no sponsored riders, you are in the best place to be a rider, and this is why. If there's no other sponsored riders around you, and it's just you and your friends scootering, you should take that opportunity and run with it. So basically, if you think about it in a way, every single place on this earth, at one point, something wasn't cool, and it took that one person to like make it cool. So think about San Diego, for example. Huge scooter community, it's popping all the time, and there's always lots of content coming out of it. But it wasn't always like that. There had to be that person who put it on the map. There had to be that group of people who put that destination on a map and made it that place that is now the scooter hub. So if you live in, I'm just gonna take the middle of Kansas, or I don't even know, if you live in Tennessee, I don't know any Tennessee scooter riders, none. But I'm just gonna take Tennessee for example. You could make that the scooter place if you really tried and put enough work into it. And another thing about being sponsored is if you look at my scootering, you're probably like, wow, Will, you're not as good as Sandeezy, you're not as good as Jack Douth, or you're not as good as, I don't know, anyone on Instagram. I'm in comparison to other people, I'm not that good. But the reason that I'm sponsored by lots of different companies is I found a way to make scooter companies money that isn't just profiting off of how good I am at riding. So a while ago, I'm just gonna tell my story of getting sponsored. I was basically unsponsored for the first 4 years of scootering. And I just scootered for fun. I didn't even think about a sponsorship. That was never even a question in my head. It was just kind of like, well, those guys were sponsored, and maybe along the line, maybe I'll get sponsored. That was just an idea in my head. I never actually thought that it might actually happen. One day, this new little scooter shop opened up called The Scooter Farm, and I think they had like 100 followers on Instagram or something like that. The owner of Scooter Farm, his name was Nick at the time. I basically just DM'd him and I was like, yo, I'll shoot photos of your team at Woodward, because I was going to Woodward for the Woodward getaway. They used to do these like weekend getaway things for scooters. I don't think they do them anymore, but yeah, they had one of those, and I was like, yo, I'll go there and I'll shoot photos of your team. In return, can you send me like a t-shirt or something like that? Because at that point, I didn't even care about sponsorships. I just wanted like a scooter t-shirt because I thought that would be cool. I didn't even think about it as an opportunity to get sponsored. I just saw it as like a way to get a free t-shirt. that would actually be me working instead of just being like, can I have a free t-shirt? And it was a way for me to say, if I do this for you, can you give me a t-shirt in response? So anyway, back to my story. I went to Woodward, I shot all the team, everything went good. And at the time, I was very new into photography. It was just kind of like a hobby. It was kind of just an idea. And I wanted to see I wanted a challenge for myself. So I was like, I'm gonna go shoot pictures of a scooter team. I'm gonna see what happens. Shot the pictures of the team, came back from Woodward, and the owner of Scooter Farm gave me a call. At the time, they didn't really have a big team. There wasn't a lot of pros on it. There was pros, but they mostly just lived in San Diego. It wasn't an international team like it is today. The owner gave me a call and he was like, hey, you do a lot of work and I think you would really benefit our team. Do you want to have a spot? I was completely blown away. Looking back on it, it made sense because I was a business opportunity to a company. I wasn't a rider who was really good pulling in fans. I was somebody who would do work and make money for the company. And that's the main thing. You gotta think about a sponsorship two-way. What are you doing for the company that will help them get more money? Because if sponsored riders didn't get money for the company, then there wouldn't be scooter teams because it would just be a waste of time for the scooter companies because why would they pay all these people all these extra money every month if they didn't do anything for the company? You know, if they didn't actually bring any profit in, then what's even the point of having a team? It's just extra money they're spending when they could just be pocketing that. The whole thing of it is you gotta find a way to benefit the company before yourself. Yeah, like I keep saying, the company's gonna look for what's in you before they look at your riding or what world's first you've landed or even clips you've been working on. I mean, even if they're not world's first, I mean, I don't think I've ever pulled a world's first. It's how much you bring to the company. It's not how good you are. And I just wanna clarify that because there's a lot of kids out there who get really discouraged when they only ever see super good people sponsored. And the whole point of this, I'm not trying to say like you can get sponsored if you're not good. Being good at scootering helps you so much at getting sponsored, but it's not the number one crucial thing. I kind of worked my way around it with photography because that was another outlet to bring money into the company. Now that scootering is kind of overexposed with scooter photographers, just find your own way. If you are a rider and you think of a way to make a company money and it's not riding or photography or shooting videos or just something, just find something. If I knew what it was, I'd be doing it. So don't ask me for what that thing is because I don't know. That's on you to find it. And that's what will make you a sponsored rider. That's what will take you being little Jimmy from your hometown to being Jimmy from Tennessee or wherever I was gonna say. That's just my main point. That is, it's not how good you are, it's how much money you are gonna bring the company because that is the whole point of a sponsorship. So if you're looking to be sponsored, first look to what you are doing to benefit the company.
So one thing that Will was saying, it doesn't really matter where you live. I'm living proof of that. I grew up in Emerald, Texas, which is in the square part of Texas, right in the middle. It's in the middle of nowhere. There was like 3 scooter riders at the time. I started filming, I started posting on Instagram, and I made a bunch of YouTube videos and games of Scoot with all my friends, and I became friends with Ian Hotchkiss. He was on 5-star at the time, and he lived down around Austin, Texas. I had gone down to Dallas for a contest. I kind of became friends with everyone, got everyone's numbers and Facebooks and stuff. From there, that is what put me into my career, and exactly what Will said, it really doesn't matter at all. Like, I got sponsored by 5-star and I was on 5-star for it was like 2-3 years. I can't remember how long I was on, but I was on for a very long time and they helped me out. They even helped me move to California. Don't get discouraged if you live in Idaho, Wisconsin, or you live in Montana or Kentucky or something like that. You can get sponsored. Just put the work into it and you'll go far. Because if you're just being lazy and you're sitting on your phone and you just landed your first tail whip, no offense if you just landed the first tail whip, but if you think that that's where you need to be to get sponsored, you're very wrong. And I'm just gonna tell you because I don't want you to get sad whenever a company doesn't message you back after you're like, hey, will you sponsor me? Because you're just not that level, you know? But yeah, that's pretty much it. And if there's anything you need to know, ask me. I'm more than happy to answer your question. So a big crucial thing about being sponsored is making yourself different than other riders. So pretty much where I was going with that is that you need to get the tricks that you see that you like, put that into your own style. So let's say you like a trick that someone does and then you saw another trick that this person did. Maybe combine those tricks and then you have your own trick. You know, you could really do whatever you want. There's thousands and thousands and thousands of combos and tricks that you can do on a scooter. And that's why we like riding scooters, is because you're able to be creative with it. So be creative, you know? There's so many things that haven't been done on scooters, and so how about you go do it? That's really gonna make you stand out as a rider.
A big thing in scootering, and you guys are obviously watching this in 2017 because this is when this video is coming out. So I'm saying everything that applies to the near recent scooter, basically the recent scooter stuff. I don't know. Scootering has like changed a lot since I've started. So I'm talking about the new scooter culture. That's what I'm talking about. And in the new scooter culture, something that's become very popular is making YouTube videos, being very active on Instagram, having a good Facebook. Personally, I don't really use Facebook that much. Clayton uses it way more than me. I just personally like don't understand it that much. Like I feel like I understand Instagram way better. A whole nother like outlet that people haven't even touched yet, which I'm assuming is gonna be big in the future, but isn't there yet, is Twitter and scootering. That's like a whole other realm that we haven't really gotten to yet. Keep your eye out for that. Make sure you're always on top of what people are communicating on. Because right now, and it's basically always been Instagram, but it's becoming more YouTube and Instagram together instead of just Instagram. Staying on top of your social media platforms and staying on top of where content is coming from is good, because then you'll know where to post your content. We made a whole video about being successful on Instagram, and if you haven't watched that, go watch that right now. It's a very good video. And basically, what I'm trying to say is you gotta know your market. You gotta know who you're advertising to, so that way a sponsor knows where you would fit good on a team. So if you're trying to go for, I don't know, I'm just gonna go, Clayton talks more about the park side, I'll just go with the street side, why not? And just to clarify, there's no park and street in scootering, we're all just scooter. You guys understand what I mean by street, so just go along with it. Anyway, so suppose you're a street scooter rider. You have a TSI setup and, I don't know, or a proto space deck or whatever. I'm just saying like those type of kids. Suppose you're one of them. You're looking to like get a sponsor eventually. So what you could do to like help yourself propel you to get sponsored is to try to post very consistently to Instagram. Stay on top of hashtags, like I know hashtag does an Outset does a hashtag where you hashtag Outset and maybe they'll repost you. We do a hashtag undialed. Stay really on top of those, because the more you can get featured on Instagram is the more people will see your posts and the more companies that will see your posts. And what I mean by that is don't go around DMing companies saying repost my clips, but just make your clips good enough so companies will want to repost them, not forcing companies. Because if your clips are good enough, we will see them. Like I see, like even though I don't like them, I view probably like, to be honest, 300 things on Instagram a day. Real talk. So I've probably seen one of your things on Instagram. You need to make sure that the quality is there, so that way other people will start noticing you as well. That's a very big thing in scootering these days, is quality. In fact, scootering is the only action sport ever, and I'm gonna say this, scootering is the only action sport ever to be born into social media. Rollerblading wasn't ever really into social media. It is now, but it wasn't in like its prime. Skateboarding, when it started, wasn't really about social media. They just did like DVDs and VHSs. Same with BMXing. And we kind of have this edge in a weird way over other action sports because our entire history of scootering has been documented on the internet. And that's something that a lot of other sports don't have. So we really need to use that to your advantage. Media is so important in scootering, so important I can't express it. To a lot of people that might be like a big bummer. I know a lot of people don't like posting to social media, but if you're somebody actively looking to get sponsored and somebody who's actively looking to be someone in the scooter community, you need to stay on top of your social media. YouTube, if you do YouTube, Instagram especially, Facebook if you want, the more the merrier. But don't overwhelm people. Just put out a steady amount of content that's high quality and no basically. Another thing that I wanted to talk about is I get this DM all of the time. Hey Will, what would be a good beginner sponsor? Or hey Will, what team should I start looking for? And to be honest, I have no idea what teams you should be looking for. You do. You know what teams you want to be part of. Now, something very important that I kind of like thought of a while ago is you should be your own favorite rider. You should ride how you think a scooter rider should ride. If you're not your own favorite rider, like obviously if you can't do a lot of tricks, understandable, but you should really strive to become your own favorite scooter rider. You're gonna put your heart and your passion into your riding because it's your favorite rider and you're pushing yourself. If you want your favorite rider to do cooler tricks, that's just more motivation to do cooler tricks. What I'm saying is not to be like self-secluded and like, oh, I'm my own favorite rider, blah. What I'm saying is like, obviously like look up to other people, because I look up to a lot of people. Have self-confidence in yourself to know that you as a human being have the potential to become a sponsored rider, and the only thing stopping you is your brain. Just know, that's like basically what I'm trying to say is, just know that you can become your own favorite scooter rider. So I run the Scooter Farm Instagram along with a few other people at Scooter Farm. I don't really go through the DMs much, so if you're trying to reach me, don't DM Scooter Farm, just DM my own personal. But I go through the DMs a lot, and there's kids every single day who are like, can you PLZ sponsor me? And the number one way you're not going to get sponsored from scootering is to ask, basically. Unless you're a top pro and you like ask to be on a company, then that's like the only way it's going to happen. But you should really wait until a sponsor approaches you. Think about a sponsorship as like getting into a relationship. You can't just see some hot girl on the internet and be like, DM him and be like, hey, want to be my girlfriend? Because that will never work. You should know that that'll never work. If you start doing stuff on your own end so that girl will then like your photos or whatever, then you're doing the right thing and then you have a way better chance of getting with her. Same thing with a scooter sponsorship. If you just DM a scooter sponsorship and they've never heard of you before and you're a private Instagram that has 100 followers and you're just like, can you please sponsor me? Like, they're probably not even gonna read it. I'm gonna be honest with you. What you can do is you can put in the work and the time to be able to become that account that the sponsors will then DM you. I know it's not a quick process. I know it takes hard work and effort. And I know that's why it feels so good to be sponsored, is because you have all that hard work, you have all that time, and it means something. If someone just handed you a sponsorship, how much would that really mean, you know? Getting a sponsorship is something accomplishing because you put a lot of hard work into it. That's why people take a lot of pride in it, is because it's not just something that's been handed to them, it's something they've honestly worked for. So if you honestly work for it, and you put work into it, and you put time and effort, then you will get sponsored. It's just how much you sitting behind the computer are willing to work at it. In closing, I just want to say the easiest way to get sponsored is to just work your hardest and put out a lot of content and don't worry about being sponsored. And then you'll get sponsored. Trust me. Do a lot of work for a long period of time, be on top of your stuff, and put out cool stuff that you're actually proud of. And maybe within the next 6 months to 2 years, you'll be on a team. I know it sounds like a long time, but if you really love it, it's really not that long of a time.
To finish this off, I just wanted to tell you guys, have fun with riding. If you guys need any advice, DM me on Instagram, DM Will. You know, we try to read everything. We're fairly busy, so we'll try to get back to it as good as we can. Hope you guys keep killing it, and we'll see you guys in the next video.
Hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Like Clayton said before, if you have any questions, like serious questions, don't just be like, what company do you think I fit on? Or can you sponsor me, Will? Like, I won't sponsor you, so don't think that. If you have any like legitimate questions about actually getting sponsored, if you have any questions about cameras, or you have any questions about thing you should do next in your scooter career, don't be afraid to DM me, I'll reply to you. Have a great day, guys. Peace out.